Welcome to the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast from Never Too Late Cafe. I'm your host, Laura Womack. Each week we sit down for a chat with someone just like you, someone who had an idea, a passion, a dream, or sometimes just a thought, and planted that seed, watched it grow into something they wanted to share with the world. If you have an idea for a topic or someone that would be a guest for the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, where you can join our Never Too Late Cafe Facebook group. We'd love to hear from you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast, sponsored by Never Too Late Cafe. And today I have a special guest with me, Ronnie Williams. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about where he currently lives and what art form he does.
Hello. I'm Ron Williams. I'm the founder and executive director of the Portsmouth Street Art Project. I live in Portsmouth, Ohio. It's a small town. It used to be a very popular destination, but back in the the Depression and stuff, a lot of companies moved out, and it just kind of died over a long period of time. And it's currently being kind of rebuilt, and I've seen other people in the community do awesome things to kind of bring it back to life, and I wanted to give back to my hometown as well, which I love so much, and I want to see it do better, which I know it can. I like smaller towns because of the community is so strong. So the type of art I do is graffiti mainly. However, I like to look at it from a street art point of view rather than going out and painting illegally. I want to practice the art form in a good environment, like a healthy environment, where it's legal, regulated, and just good for everyone. But not to where it's like too regulated. Then it kind of takes the point out of art if it's too regulated. But yeah, so we have like plenty of workarounds there.
So you've done, you have an area, is that correct? A wall or several walls?
Yeah, we got a few. It started off with the alleyway of a local bar down by Shawnee State University. The owner offered her wall to us because she had heard of the idea and she supported it. And, her alley wasn't very likable. It was just bland, dull and stuff. And she's like, I think it would be great if you guys did some art down here, and, just got to be able to practice. So we got that first. In the meantime, I was doing a lot of paperwork, a lot of talking back and forth with the city officials, trying to get this idea to where I wanted to be originally. And in February of 2021 was when it officially opened down there on the riverfront of Portsmouth. Sorry, my cat. It officially opened. It used to be a water reservoir for the city a long time ago, and now it just sits a blank wall there, and it's just an eyesore, really. And the city owned it. I thought it was a great spot, and I pitched it to them, and they drew up a lease, and we got it signed. And we even joined another nonprofit organization that's from Portsmouth as well, called Watch Me Grow Ohio. They kind of took us under a wing, and we were able to use their nonprofit status to be able to get that wall obtained. We are looking to get our own nonprofit in the future. It was just a little workaround so we could get it earlier rather than later.
Mm-hmm. And so this has been if I recall, where people can come and they can do the spray painting as well as learn from other people. Is that correct?
Yes, that is one of my favorite parts. Um, the graffiti aspect is just a very looked down on art form. And by having some sort of place to go where it's a safe place, if you will, I guess, for artists who practice graffiti to come here and do it in public, do it in daylight, do it in front of people, not wearing a mask and hiding in the dark. Right?
Right.
You're doing it in front of people, and it kind of shows people that graffiti art isn't bad. The people who do it are not bad.
Not gangsta.
Yeah, no gang, no. I have a funny story about that where we had someone claim it was gang related. I'm like, sir, that is my friend, and we are not in any type of gang, nor is there any type of gangs of Portsmouth. That is silly. And but yeah, that's one of the common misconceptions. I think it's just a band of people looking to destroy things, and when in fact it's quite the opposite. Graffiti is so I can't even think of the word right now. It's so like involved. It's only it's a lot more enjoyable when you're practicing and doing it with another person or a group, because you can paint something and another person with a different set of skills be like, hey, do this or use this color to make it like pop, and or make your letter more curved right here or more straight, put a 3D or something on it. Is really involved and helpful and fun. That is the main purpose of behind this whole thing. And it's just I just like being involved with other people doing a similar thing that I like to do. It's like our own little mini community down there, and
Mm-hmm.
I just want to share it and get it out to anyone who wants to try, because it's really for anyone.
Um, you had a project, an event,
Mm-hmm.
and you did not just walls. Can you describe that event a little bit?
Oh yeah,
This,
the event we had back in May.
mm,
It was the Wall Rats Graffiti Festival. It was the very first quote unquote graffiti event in Portsmouth, pretty much ever. And the turnout was all right. It was really hot, so people were leaving just as fast as they were coming. I don't blame them. I had to sit in my car in the AC for a long time. But yeah, it wasn't just painting the wall. We also had a person who supports Portsmouth Street Art Project bring a car that he owns that no longer runs, and just let people paint it because he was just going to junk it the next day. So I think like painting stuff like that is a lot more fun than just a wall. So I thought that was a great added addition to the event.
um, so do you plan on having like more events like that where you get to do, vendors? I think that was the plan, right? Is eventually have
Yeah,
food and some other things that go along with it.
yeah, but I want to take a different approach next time. I think I went a little bit too far with vendors and like art vendors and food vendors and music and all this other stuff going on, and it was a lot on me. I didn't really get to enjoy the event myself as much as I wanted to, and so the next event it'll be kind of similar maybe, but it's going to be more focused on the art rather than music and food and the other art vendors there. I will leave it open for art vendors if they wanted to, but like I'm not going to be doing like the music, maybe the food, but I'm also thinking about like doing more like a just like a cookout, just throwing some stuff on the grill and
Mm-hmm.
having some drinks there for everyone, and hopefully have some more free paint like I did at the last one, for everyone to be able to use. That was really cool because getting that free paint kind of, it just helps people get more involved. Just like you like picking up the spray can for the first time and hitting the wall. It's like it's completely different. I think that's what I like about it so much. It's just picking up a spray can and using it. And I don't know. I think it's a biased thing. I'm really biased about spray cans. I love spray cans. They're just so fun,
Well,
and
I've noticed
anyone
there's
can do it.
different shapes and lettering and ways to
Mhm.
make it, like you said, 3D and make it
Mhm.
pop. And that's all different colors and
Yep.
shading. And it definitely is a very unique art form. I've always loved graffiti myself. I think when we had our conversation about that, is that I've always admired trains going by
Yeah.
that you can tell was done on purpose because it took some time to have it done. It wasn't just someone on the fly doing it, but
Right.
um and the way that you like to have the community of people, that camaraderie is what it seems
Yes.
like is very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
So you're from Portsmouth,
Yes.
and so this podcast is called Bloom Where You're Planted. And I think originally we thought of it as people moving into an area and blooming. And then I realized how many people can do that where they're at and have been. So when you think of that phrase, what does that mean to you?
No, I thought about that answer, and I have quite an elaborate one for you.
Oh, right.
Okay. All right. I actually wrote it down, and as I was thinking it, so like, I won't say a word for word, but I'll just try to get the point across as efficiently as possible. So, all right. So what I wrote was like a long time ago, this little flower bed, this thing of Portsmouth is like a flower bed, was teeming with all this life and color until one day all the bees had left, and then with them the flowers had gone too. Over time, it became overgrown with crabgrass and weeds. The bees seemed to have forgotten what it once was. It no longer looked like a flower bed, but it was still there. It was only waiting the return of their seeds. I admired this little garden. I gave it all the nutrients it needed to grow. So I planted myself right in the middle of it, and that's where I was going to stay. I waited. I grew more and more, waiting for my moment. The sun had came out, the skies cleared, and then it happened. I bloomed. Maybe, just maybe, if other flowers saw me, they'd remember this overgrown mound was really a flower bed and would want to plant there too. It doesn't matter what kind of flower you are or what seeds you have, all the flowers have a chance to grow. You just have to dig the hole first.
Wow, you put a lot of thought in that.
I
So
did.
awesome. Um, and we talk about words of wisdom, and it sounds like planting yourself and allowing everything around you to bloom as well.
Yes.
So I like that. I like that. Um, so tell me, let's go way back in your
Okay.
story. As far back as you remember of when you liked any sort of art and how that
Okay.
came about.
Well, second grade, um, I drew a lot. It didn't just stay on paper. I was drawing all over my desk. And my teacher got mad at me all the time, and my parents got mad at me. I wasn't doing my schoolwork. I was just always doodling. Nothing, no rhyme or reason to it. But that want to create some sort of art kind of just stayed in me. It didn't really go past doodling for a long time until I was in eighth grade. I talked about the that speech I gave at Shawnee, where I came across this new kid from New York. He drew a lot of graffiti, and I didn't know him that well. You know, he just moved there. He's a new kid, and I saw what he was drawing, and I told myself, like, I want to do that. That looks fun, creative, something I can do. And we just kind of like connected over that. And he taught me everything there was about graffiti at the time. He told me everything I know now about it. And I mean, my knowledge has since increased since that time. But since then, me and him would draw together. My drawings were very bad, of course, because I was new to it. I didn't have any real skills developed or anything. And the more I drew, and I got better and better. There's books on it called Graffiti School, where it teaches you everything from like how to form your first letters, how to create flow throughout the piece. Flow is very important. It kind of like, I don't know, it shapes it. The flow kind of shapes it. I can't explain it still. I just know what that means when I go create something. So anyway, so when we were doodling together and stuff, and it never really went past pen and paper or markers. So then he moved away, like a couple years later, and my connection to that graffiti culture and community was kind of non-existent at that point. And it was hard to stay motivated without that person or that connection there. So I would stop for like a year or two, pick it back up. I'd go through that whole process again of being motivated, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't have anyone to share it with. So then it just kind of dropped again. I did that a couple more times, and then the first time in 2018 was when I heard about another person that I figured out did graffiti back in school. We actually went to school together. I had no idea he did. And I messaged him and was like, hey, I want to do more than just pen and paper stuff. I want to paint. And before I continue that story, let me back up a little bit. And when I first got it back into it, I went onto YouTube because I was wanting to actually paint, but I'd never used a spray can at this point. I never touched a spray can until 2018. But I watched videos of people how do they take their drawings and put it on a wall or something with using a spray can, because using a spray can versus pen and paper, it's crazy different.
And
I'm
sure.
yeah. I like to think of spray cans as like a manual airbrush. So maybe I'll get into that later, maybe. But and I saw this one guy. He lives over in like Slovakia. He goes by the name of Doke. You can find him on YouTube, Doke TV, and he's now a professional street artist. He doesn't do just graffiti. He does actual murals across the city, and come to find out that graffiti is actually very welcomed over there, mainly in Germany, Slovakia, a lot in Australia. And there's a lot of graffiti, larger metropolitan areas in the US. However, there's a lot of stipulations. Um, it's just now recently, within the last decade, become more accepted. So
Mm-hmm.
we're still, even though the US is the main cause and created what graffiti is known for, we're still very small minded as to what it is and what it could be. So I find that very ironic that the country that created graffiti is the most hard on people about it, whereas the UK, Germany, Australia, Slovakia, other countries in that area, they're very open and welcoming about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they actually want people to go out and paint. Granted, they have several areas for people to do so. Like they only have like, all right, you can have this, don't touch this, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone, all the artists are kind of like, oh great, I'm on board. I won't get arrested or anything, and I can do my stuff out in public. And it just kind of took off from there. And we don't have anything like that here. Um, at least not advertised, because of like the strict rules of the stuff, and what have you. And graffiti products are still illegal to be made in the US today. Um, so most majority of the supplies are either reworded to change its proper use to be sold, or most of it comes from like Canada or Germany. Um, so that being said, what I wanted to do was create that here. I want what they had, but here.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. After I had talked to the city council about it, I went in and pitched my idea, which is where my other friend comes in. I'm like, hey, I heard you do graffiti. I want to do this. What can I do? Like, do you have any idea? He's like, well, why don't you just walk into the city council meeting and ask them? And I was completely dumbfounded by that. I didn't know you could. I thought they were going to throw me out at the first word of graffiti. I really did. So I was up there. I was up at the podium shaking. I was so nervous. I'm back then. I was really terrified to speak in public, but I'm a lot more comfortable these days. But I was up there shaking, and they asked me to calm down a couple of times. And but after I told him my idea, I'm like, hey, we already have something like street art here. It's on Front Street with all the murals. But I'm like, that is street art. But what I want to do a free wall where it's not commissioned. Anyone can go. It doesn't matter their skill level or whatever kind of tools they use. I think it's great for the art community, because there's quite a large art community in our small town, especially with the college right there. And I mean, they were on board, and completely blew my mind. And I was approached by all these different people from different media places, like newspapers, news stations, and blah 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 blah. And I was just like, wow, I didn't think it would go that well. So I was like, all right. So since everyone like kind of supports this idea, I'm gonna go like as big and hard as I can. And they asked me to form a group, which is now known as Sportsman Street Art Project, just to make it more official, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I recruited some volunteers. They helped me. I had these ideas, and they kind of helped me put it together to make it make sense and realistic. And then I recruited a lady named Amanda Lewis, and she is like a hard hitter in the community. She's done a lot of great things. And not being in a community setting like the group that I'm in, it was like you wouldn't know that these people even existed. Like these people are doing all these great things, and like no one knows about it hardly. But I wanted to reach as much people as possible to kind of get the stigmatized concept of graffiti gone, because and we have a lot of people who are very still have that conservative mindset. So she's on the board of Watch Me Grow Ohio, and she's the one who got me kind of taken me under their wing. They are I forget what they call themselves. We're like a sister project or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So when we got that, we were able to like create a lease, or the city were able to, and we would be able to use that nonprofit status to like legalize everything, to make everything legitimate, which was awesome. And the wall finally opened up, and it was a hit, which was great. But at the same time, people still had that stigmatized mentality against like graffiti and stuff. Why I still hear things about it all the time. However, a lot of people, I hear more people that are welcoming of it than I don't hear people that are welcoming of it. But
and
yeah.
your wall is unique in the sense that I think you said something about people can, it's open to people and they can do any form, and they can go over top of.
Yes. Yeah. So with that, majority, not all, but majority of artists, specifically graffiti artists and maybe muralists, have this fundamental and universal understanding as to the etiquette of a quote unquote free wall. I mean, there's only limited space. We don't necessarily have the funds to constantly go over it because paint is extremely expensive. So like it's just understood for the most part that when you go and paint something, it's expected that it will be painted over at some point. And all the people that I paint with, like graffiti wise, and anyone who I talk to, I warn them beforehand. I'm like, you can go down and paint something, but there's a big chance it's going to get painted over either the next day or 6 months from now. Like, we really don't know. But all the artists that I work with and paint with, they have social media accounts, such as Instagram. So what they do, they paint whatever they want to paint, take a picture of it, post it on there, and let it go. It's kind of just like that. So like I am at the same time, I understand like, why would you want to go to this wall, put all this time, you spent the money on paint, you put on all this effort to create something only for it to be painted over, which I totally get. However, we don't have like an infinite amount of space, or like I said, it's for everyone. I want everyone to be able to get a chance to come down. Like, I don't, it's a public space, so we can't claim ownership of any of it, really. So that's the only downside I see about it. But yeah, go ahead.
And it's all ages, right?
I'm sorry. Like yes, all ages.
Family friendly. Families come down.
Yes, that comes to one of our rules that we have. You can go paint whatever you want, as long as it's nothing that would be deemed offensive or derogatory toward any sensitive topic or any type of group of people, right? We like just go down and create art. That's what it's about. But however, at the same time, we are very open to the free speech. So if you have something that you want to say or talk about or paint about, like, you can do that. But you have to understand that people are going to get mad at that. But at the same time, it's art, it's okay to be mad at something. It's okay to express your opinions, good or bad. That's the main point of the wall. It's to welcome everyone and everyone's points of view, and I kind of look at it like Facebook but art. So you know how people put all their opinions on Facebook all the time for people to read. It's just like that, but you're just painting about it. And I don't know, I would rather them go and paint a paint about something that's very controversial than to not be able to paint something that's controversial.
So it's their expression.
Their expression, yes. It could be about anything. It doesn't have to be something that everyone likes. No, the only thing that we don't allow is like any like nudity or bad language. And I would really like for people to, when they do go down there and paint and experience the wall and stuff, for them to put in the effort. Just even if you don't think you're good enough, I don't care if you put in a nice stick man. That's your stick man. You created that, and you have as much as right there to do to paint there, just like as the professional graffiti artist right down there. So, but as long as you put in the effort and don't just like scribble on it, I mean they can if they wanted to technically, but like it's just one of those things that are just looked down upon in the whole community.
So it's taken seriously when they're doing it. So, well,
yeah, for the most part. At the same time, it's also a chill environment as well.
So if you ran across someone and they said, "Oh, I wish our city had this," what words of wisdom would you offer them in doing what you have done?
I don't know if you know the meme about Shia LaBeouf. I don't know if you've heard of him. No, well, he is a very popular meme quite a few years ago where he stands in front of a green screen on camera and he's just like passionate about telling you to just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams, he says, just do it. And I thought about that the whole time I was going through the whole process. It's like, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you're taking a risk. Yeah, they might say no, but you would never, no one would ever know unless you just go out there and put effort into trying to do it. And that's what matters. It doesn't matter what it is.
So yeah, and you even went before city council, and not everyone has the guts to do that.
Yeah, I was very terrified. I can't believe I did it still to this day.
So what is next for your project, the Portsmouth Street Art Project?
Right now it's just the project being the project. I got done what I set out to do, and that's what it is now. It is a wall for people to paint. And as far as the events go, like I said earlier, I'm probably not going to do anything extravagant, at least for a while. So the next time I would probably just invite a lot of artists from out of state or from out of town to come down, because there are graffiti artists who do travel around the country just to go paint legal walls. And yeah, so we've actually had, there is a piece down there right now, two of them, where these two graffiti artists had come all the way from Virginia Beach to paint on this wall. They spent 2 hours here and then went home.
Wow. So how did they hear about it?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I want to say it's from one of the guys I paint with, because he follows a lot of graffiti artists from out of town and stuff. And he was posting his stuff. He was commenting on their stuff. And they just kind of got wind of it. And That's just what they do. That's how they spend their time. I don't know. I just think it's cool that they did.
Oh, drove all the way up here and did that and then went home. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So more of that.
I also want to say one more thing. Having this type of wall and outlet for people who do practice graffiti, I see it as they're painting on this wall. That's a painting that's not illegally done on someone else's property or public property. And I've actually have quite a few guys in the group I paint with. They were illegal artists. I won't say their name or anything, but because of this wall exists now, they no longer do the illegal stuff, which I think is a huge plus. So the graffiti community, there are people who do it to destroy things. They go out and paint just to destroy things. They like to see things be destroyed, especially public property. That was more during the 80s and 90s era of graffiti. It's changed a lot since then. But there are a lot of people who do it illegally because they don't have anywhere else to go. And while I'd still say, like, well, if you just don't do it at all, I guess. But I mean, they just want to, and they do, especially as kids growing up. But now, like with having something like this open to them, it will kind of deter that type of activity from happening, and just creating a community out of it, turning something negative into a positive. So there's all kinds of like different aspects about having this wall that's really a good positive thing for the community as a whole, rather than just one purpose. So I think that's really awesome.
It is because and it will help to change the stigma as well.
Yes.
Might take a while because that's the way it is when there's something that's had started a certain way, but you're in the right direction of it. Well, Ronnie, it's been very nice having you with us on the Bloom Where You're Planted podcast. And I look forward to more events and getting to see more. I'm very glad we connected. It was at the Fringe Festival at Shawnee State. So good getting out there and
thanks. Yeah.
Just doing it.
It was fun. Yeah, exactly. Just do it.
And we look forward to maybe another conversation after an event and as things go on.
I would definitely like to come back.
All right. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you again and just keep blooming, keep creating, and we'll talk again sometime.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.